3 days after our baby was born, my husband finally came home, but he wasn't alone. He brought a woman I didn't know. I was shocked and asked, "Who is this woman?" My husband smiled and said, "She's my girlfriend. Actually, she's going to be my wife." I was confused and asked, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm done with you." I was stunned. "My name is Elizabeth. I'm 25 and work at a company. My boyfriend John recently proposed to me. We met in high school, started dating in our first year, broke up during our senior year, and then reconnected after college when we ran into each other at a gathering with old classmates. When we reconnected as adults, my feelings about him changed once again. We started spending a lot of time together and began dating again. After 3 years, he proposed to me. His proposal was simple. "I will love you, Elizabeth, for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" I believed him and said yes. I was thrilled to start our married life. We both work, so we only see each other in the evenings during the week. But I was happy to spend time with him until morning without having to go back and forth between our homes. Back in high school, we couldn't cook at all. But when we were in college and living on our own, we both learned how to cook. We managed the household chores together and had a balanced life. My husband was great at frying food, and since I'm not good at it, I was happy he could cook it for me. On the other hand, I was good at cooking Japanese dishes, like simmered vegetables. My husband used to praise my cooking, saying it was just right, not too rich and not too bland. I thought we would keep supporting each other and live happily together. A year into our marriage, I found out I was pregnant. I was overjoyed and quickly told my husband, "John, I'm pregnant." He looked surprised and just stared with his mouth open, like in a cartoon. "John, oh my God, I'm going to be a father." "Well, your reaction is a bit slow. You really surprised me. I'm so excited." "Yeah, I'm excited too. If we're having a baby, we'll need to do our best." My husband was thrilled about the pregnancy, and I was looking forward to raising our child together. At first, he was very concerned about my health. "Elizabeth, take it easy, okay? If it gets too hard, you can quit your job." "Thank you, but I'll try to work until my maternity leave." "All right, I'll handle the house chores." "Thanks." Thanks to my husband's support, I was able to rest well during the morning sickness. As I entered a more stable part of my pregnancy, the time for delivery was getting closer. But then my husband started coming home late. "Did you work late again today?" "Yes, I've been letting my coworkers handle things. Now that you're doing better, I thought I should put in extra time at work to make up for the days I left early." "I understand. So you're working overtime even though you're busy at work. I appreciate it, but your health is important too. I don't want to be out of a job when the baby arrives." "That's true. I'm a bit nervous about being alone at home, but if that's the case, I won't blame him." "Well, maybe I'll stay at my parents' house during my maternity leave." My husband looked relieved and agreed. "That's good. Then I can work extra hours without worrying." I would miss seeing my husband until after the baby is born, but I was grateful for the support from my parents. So as soon as my maternity leave started, I moved back to my parents' house. It felt easier to be in a familiar place and not have to handle household chores. Having my mom nearby also made me feel more secure. However, I was worried about one thing. My husband had been slow to respond to my messages. Previously, he would always reply the same day, even if he was busy. When I was sick with morning sickness, he would reply quickly. Now, I sometimes don't get a reply for a day or even 2, and his responses are less friendly. The other day, I sent my husband a message asking if he was still busy at work and reminding him not to overwork himself. He just replied with a simple, "Yeah." Since I can't see him, his lack of response makes me worry, but I know I shouldn't stress about it since I'm pregnant. So I decided to try not to worry. I thought it would be best to give my husband some space for a while. To keep my spirits up, I focused on what I would do after the baby arrives. I bought a lot of baby items. "Oh, Dad, you're buying too much." "No, we need to make sure the baby is safe and comfortable." "You're so excited about your first grandchild. You're the one asking all the questions to the shop assistant." "Thank you, Mom and Dad." My parents were excited for the birth of our child, so I didn't let my husband's slow replies get me down. The due date finally arrived. I sent my husband a message letting him know I was due today and asking him to come to the hospital as soon as he heard from me. But he didn't even read the message. Well, maybe he's just busy at work. He knew my due date was coming up, so he should have been more prepared. As my labor pains began, we went to the hospital. I was about to give birth, and since I didn't have time to call him myself, I asked my mother to leave him a voicemail saying I was in labor. But he didn't show up, not even at night. He didn't return any of my calls. I went into delivery without him. The birth was harder and longer than I had expected. The umbilical cord was wrapped around the baby's neck, making delivery difficult. It took almost a full day of labor before my baby was born. However, when I finally saw my baby and held her in my arms, all my fatigue and pain vanished. She was a beautiful baby girl. "You did your best to come into the world, didn't you?" I said as I held my baby for a moment. Then I lay down to rest my tired body. Later, I woke up in my hospital bed and saw my mother sitting by my side. "Are you feeling better?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good." "I'm glad to hear that." "Hey, what's wrong, Mom? You don't look well." "Well, I haven't heard from John since the baby was born." "Yeah, I've noticed. What on earth is he doing? We just had a baby." I was furious. Why didn't he come to the hospital? I had sent him a message saying the baby was born. A few hours later, he replied that he would come to the hospital the day after tomorrow. Why can't he prioritize coming here? I tried not to think about anything negative until the birth, but now that the baby is here, I don't need to hold back my feelings. Why isn't he here for his own child's birth? He should come immediately. Is his company so strict they won't let him leave? I poured all my frustration into a message to him, but he just read it and didn't reply. What's going on? He was so excited when I told him I was pregnant. Why does he seem so uninterested now? My parents were furious with my husband's unreasonable behavior. My father said he would give him a serious talk next time. 3 days after the birth, my husband finally showed up, but he wasn't alone. He brought a woman I didn't know with him. I was so shocked I couldn't speak. "You seem to be doing well," he said, "so don't send me messages as if you're in a crisis." Huh? Not only did he arrive with an unknown woman, but he also had a cold attitude. I was stunned but managed to ask a few questions. "Who is this woman?" My husband smiled and said, "She's my girlfriend. Or better yet, my future wife." What? The woman next to him chimed in, laughing and lightly tapping my husband on the shoulder. "Oh no, what do you mean by future wife?" I'm embarrassed. "What do you mean? Don't you get it? It means you and I are divorced." What? Wait a minute. Are you saying you were having an affair? Well, adultery doesn't sound very nice. It's more like I found someone new to love and we started seeing each other. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I'm just tired of you." Huh. You know, men are attracted to women who take care of themselves, my husband said, starting to hold hands with the other woman. "Are you saying I wasn't taking care of myself? You got fat and bloated because you stayed at home all the time." I was just resting because I was pregnant and had morning sickness. Besides, gaining weight during pregnancy is normal. So you were having an affair because of that. I want to keep romantic feelings for my wife, even though we're married, but I don't feel that way about you anymore. I found someone even better, my husband said as he and the woman started flirting again. I had reached my breaking point. "All right, I'm done. Just get a divorce or whatever and leave. I'll go without you telling me." With that, my husband and the woman left the hospital room. He never even looked at the baby's face or asked about the child's gender, so it was clear he didn't care anymore. It looks like I'm going to be a single mother. This was incredibly hard for me, especially right after giving birth. While I was feeling overwhelmed, the door to my hospital room opened. Huh? I was shocked when my husband and my mother-in-law walked into the room. "Why are you here?" "Elizabeth, I heard everything, and I'm so sorry about my foolish son," my mother-in-law said. She had bumped into my husband and his girlfriend in the parking lot, questioned him and heard the same story I did. She sent the girlfriend away, then brought my husband here. "What do you think you're doing? You're having an affair while your wife is pregnant, and now you want a divorce? Your father would have been furious if he knew." My father-in-law had passed away a few years ago. I didn't have a choice. She came to me, and I fell in love with her. How could I have married such a man? I said, "You clearly care about her so much. Elizabeth, do you still want to stay married to John?" My mother-in-law asked. But I had already made up my mind. "No, I want a divorce now." "Well, that's fine. My husband's face brightened when he heard my decision. Then there's nothing, Mom. Not so fast. You'll be paying alimony for your affair and child support for your child. What? Of course. You committed adultery, so you need to take responsibility. And if you divorce Elizabeth, I'll stop sending you money. What? No way. Sending money? What do you mean sending money? Well, what Elizabeth didn't know is that his income is so low that he asked me to send him a few $1,000s every month. He said he needed it to support his life with you. I never heard that. My husband's salary was low, and I had been covering for it with my higher income. In other words, he had been using the money my mother-in-law sent him to support his affair. This pushed my mother-in-law to her breaking point. I'm going to make you pay back every penny I've given you. I'm cutting all ties with you. Don't ever come back to my house. No, wait. Elizabeth, I'm sorry for all this. I'll find you a top-notch divorce attorney and you can get as much money as you can from him. Oh, thank you very much. My mother-in-law left the hospital with my husband. I made sure to demand alimony and child support from him. And of course, I also sought alimony from his mistress. My husband ended up deep in debt, and my mother-in-law abandoned him. The woman he was seeing also left him once she realized he no longer had any money. He spent his days struggling to pay alimony and child support while living alone and poor. I have no intention of letting my child see my ex-husband. I want him to feel regret for the rest of his life while he deals with the financial consequences. Meanwhile, I've returned to work as a single mother and am working hard to raise my child. I still stay in touch with my mother-in-law and share pictures of my grandchild with her. Even though my ex-husband was awful, I'm grateful to have met my wonderful mother-in-law. Having an affair while pregnant is unforgivable, and I wish there were a harsher punishment for him. But at least the woman got rid of someone like him. I hope you and your daughter find happiness together from now on.